Good morning, everyone. At least this morning, here where I am on my porch in Tanzania. My name is Judith. I teach yoga classes for martial arts. I do Jiu-Jitsu myself and grappling, this much wrestling. And I teach restorative yoga, so not like very heavy strength-based yoga, but just to stretch, to relax, to soften up those really tight muscles that get tight, especially if you do a lot of martial arts. So today we are going to have a session on the lower back and see if we can loosen up and do some twists and try and release some tension where a lot of people feel pain or have injuries or just in general discomfort. So I think we're just gonna get into it. I'm gonna start with a cat and cow. So I'm starting on my hands and knees, and on my in-breath, I'm just going to sway my back and look upwards. And then on my out-breath, I'm going to round my back, push through my shoulder blades. And then on my in-breath again, I'm swaying. And I'm just gonna do that following my own breath for a few rounds. So I'm just using my breath to find out where I want to be, and I breathe out and I round, pushing through my shoulder blades. And just do your own tempo. Follow your own breath. And then in general, I like to do a lot of dynamic yoga, not just sit still in poses. So from here, following my breath, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to move with it, even bigger movements. So maybe when I do my in-breath, maybe I go down, push my up. And then on my out-breath, maybe I circle back. Maybe I go all the way back. And then on my in-breath, go up again. So I'm just trying to create some movement in my spine, and especially in my lower back. Maybe I do wide circles from side to side for a little bit. Maybe I lean all the way forward. So just get a bit creative. Feel where your body needs some attention. And then when you're ready, just gonna come back into a neutral back. From here, I'm just gonna widen my legs a little bit, so they're about the same distance as the mat. And then I'm gonna slowly lean back into a child's pose, leaning my hips all the way, seeing if they can come down onto my heels. And then I'm just gonna put my forehead down into the mat, stretch my arms, maybe walk them a little bit to the front, and just dropping into that lower back, seeing if I can shift my weight backwards. And just breathing. Seeing if I can stretch a little bit into that lower back. And usually if I try and drop my belly, so I'm trying to drop my belly towards the mat, I'm gonna get a little bit of an extra stretch. And then as an option here, I'm just going to walk my hands over my left leg. So I'm gonna do the same. I'm just simply shifting my weight a little bit over this leg first. Taking a few breaths here. And then I'm going to do the same on the other side. So I'm just walking my hands, shifting all the way to the opposite side, leaning over that leg. And taking a few breaths here as well. And then when I'm ready, I'm just moving my fingertips and coming all the way back up into a neutral back. Now from here, I'm just going to take my right leg. I'm just going to move it forward so that I come into a low lunge. From here, you might have done this before. I'm going into what many people use as a hamstring stretch. So I'm stretching that front leg and pulling in or pushing into that front heel. But instead of pushing all the way out and leaning my weight back, stretching it into a hamstring stretch, I'm just going to stretch and see if I can push through that heel into my lower back. So it's not a goal for me to stretch it out. It's more a goal to see if I can push my way into that lower back. And then I shift my weight forward. Maybe I need to do a little bit of a smaller stance. And I push that leg, seeing if I can push into my lower back. And I do this for a few times. Leaning forward and pushing my heel. And you see I'm not even straightening that leg. I'm more focusing on bending from the hip. So I'm bending my front body down and I'm pushing with that heel. And a few more times. And then from here, I'm going to walk my hands just a little bit out. So that I'm really leaning my upper body away from this leg, seeing if I can stretch. And even if I move my head up a little bit, seeing if I can stretch from my lower body. So I'm always trying to find the place that I want to stretch from, seeing if I can get in contact with it, and then I move away from it. So this is almost like a slight twist. But if this is too much, you can just go back into the low lunge. And I'm still having my weight into my heel, so I'm still pushing away with my heel. And then I'm going to relax, coming all the way back to the front, and I'm simply just going to switch my feet. So I'm pulling my right leg back, my left leg comes forward, putting my weight into that front heel, and I'm just a few times going to push my way back and forth, seeing when I push back if I can really stretch this part, the lower back part. Not focusing on stretching my leg. And I'm pushing and leaning my front body down. And then from here, just moving a little bit to the side, still keeping that push from the heel. And I'm leaning my front body away, trying to lean my hips the other way. If you want to, you can even take your hand and just push slightly on that knee. To really get into the side of that lower back. And then I take one more deep breath. And I slowly release. And if you're able to, you can just come down all the way onto your butt. And I'm going to sit and I'm going to stretch my legs out to each side. Now, how far I stretch them isn't really, or like how wide, isn't really that important. So if it's too much to have them very wide, just pull them a little closer. Now from here, I'm going to lean, so it's almost like a twist. I'm going to twist my chest up towards the sky, and I'm gonna lean to one side. Maybe it's enough to just reach over. Maybe I want to put my forearm down into the mat if I can, or maybe on my thigh. I can also straighten my arm all the way to my leg. So it just depends on where you are and what feels good for you, but I'm straightening, leaning over towards that leg, and then seeing if the top arm can come all the way down, maybe to my shin, to my knee, maybe to my toes. And I'm just stretching that lower back. And I remember to breathe. I am in Tanzania at the moment, and it's rainy season. And with rainy season, there are insane amount of flies. So I'm breathing to not get annoyed at all the flies that are around me 24/7, especially when I'm outside doing stuff like this. And then I'm gonna take one last breath and release. And I'm just gonna switch sides. So I choose which variation I want. My hand comes over. I like to have my forearm down into the mat. And also I would like to add that your legs do not have to be straight for this. You can also be here, it doesn't matter, because we're not working on the hamstrings at the moment, we're working on the lower back. So if you're here, that's completely fine. And then seeing if I can hold my knee, my chin, maybe my toes, and just leaning in. Seeing if I can drop all the way down. Seeing if I can be zen enough to not notice the flies. And one last breath. And I'm gonna come back up again. From here, I'm just gonna cross my legs, and not on top of each other, but just in front of each other. I'll move this way so you can see me better. And then from here, I have one leg in the back, one in the front. And so I'm just gonna lean towards the leg that's in the back, and I'm gonna see if I can wrap around it. So I'm just wrapping around this knee, seeing if I can really drop the hip on the opposite side. Maybe I wrap around with one hand, and I can slightly push down on the opposite side. And even more, if I want a deeper stretch, I'm gonna try and take my chest, and I'm gonna twist it so that it's straight over my thigh. And then from here, I'm just leaning into it. And as always, if you need to adjust something, you adjust the way that you feel comfortable. Like I've said in previous videos as well, that this is supposed to be restorative yoga. And so if you feel like you're struggling in every pose, or like every pose requires a lot of strength, or you're breathing very hard, that's kind of not the goal. Because those are contradicting concepts of I want my muscles to relax, but still I have to use so much muscle strength and power to try and get my muscle to relax. No. That means that you've gone too far in the pose and you need to like withdraw a little bit so that it's not so heavy, so that the muscle can actually relax where it's at, instead of pushing really down into a stretch and then struggling to stay there. It's supposed to be relaxing. This kind of yoga is supposed to be relaxing. And I'm gonna come up, I'm just gonna switch my legs. And I'm gonna do the opposite side, so I'm hugging around this knee. Seeing if I can move my chest all the way over. If I want to, I can also push a little bit on the opposite knee. And again, I'm going to see if I can breathe into that lower back. And I'm slowly going to come back up again. Okay, the last thing that we're going to do is a twist. So I'm just going to straighten my legs out, coming all the way down to the ground. And then from here, I'm just going to pull my right leg into my chest. And then I'm slowly just going to push it over onto my side. From here, I can see if I want to just let it relax like this, which I can. I can also straighten that front leg if I want to get an even more stretch, but that's going to be like both the hip and the hamstring stretch. So usually if I'm just focusing on my lower back, I like to have it bent, and I just lean that knee over as much as possible. So if you can lean it all the way over until it touches the ground. If you can't, that's fine too. And then I breathe. And then I'm going to relax, coming all the way to center, and I'm doing the opposite side. So I'm just pulling that left knee into my chest, and then I'm slowly pushing it so that it comes all the way over. Seeing if that knee can touch the ground. And I'm just breathing. And then when you're ready, just coming all the way back down onto the mat. Either you want to stay for a shavasana or a relaxing pose, but this is the end of today's class on lower back. I hope you've enjoyed it. Maybe you found a favorite stretch, which is always my hope. And I will see you in the next video.